Professionals. Great news, you are here early. Please stand by as our live stream is about to begin. Thank you. Did you know Service Six Sigma has 6 sectors? Here they are: attract, convert, deliver, control, scale, and give back. Would you like to be an influencer for our sponsors? Please reach out to Ben Bergloff, President and Co-founder of Service Six Sigma. We would love to get you signed up. Please don't forget to send us your favorite videos and photos. We will play them live as we wait for our live stream to begin. Thank you.
Catch you before you leave our live stream today. We are in fact live. We are just waiting for our live stream to begin. Please stand by as our live stream is about to begin. We go live at 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time every single day, Monday through Friday, except for Saturday and Sunday. That is family time. But thank you for joining our live stream today. Please stand by as our live stream begins and wait and watch our commercials. Catch you before you leave our
Hey, it's Harrison from reach@futureclean.com. Before Ben and Perry go online, well, you may know him as Perry, I know him as Dad. While he's being semi-retired, I've decided that Reach is going to sponsor Service Six Sigma because it's another way for Perry to be able to give back to the window cleaning industry and service industries in general. So let's get on with the show.
Welcome to a free live stream built around 6 sectors. This live stream created for mobile service professionals. We would like to introduce you to your hosts, Ben Bergloff, President of Service Six Sigma, and Perry Tate, Co-founder of Service Six Sigma. Welcome to Service Six Sigma, your live stream for mobile service professionals.
Woo!
Oh, we are live again.
Oh, yes,
What's
we are
this?
live. Another. Say what?
What's this, Thursday?
Today is Thursday. Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
You guys like my haircut?
Oh, look at you. Don't you look
Yeah.
handsome? Very presidential.
I
Hey,
just need my American flag.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. So today we are going to be talking. We're going to geek out on stuff. We've got Noah Joe in the background, and we've got Peter Thomas, and we're going to be geeking out and talking to you guys about brushes and pure water systems and hoses and tubes and reels and all that. And we're going to be talking about flow rate, because all we get all the time is I need more pressure, and that is a myth. You do not need more pressure. You need more flow rate. But quickly, I'm just going to summarize what is Service Six Sigma for the people who are here for the first time. So Service Six Sigma is service for the service industries, right? And so obviously we're going to talk about the window cleaning industry. We're going to get guys on. I've got the Thai national anthem running in the background here. We've got people from the pressure washing industry and the roof cleaning industry. Those guys we all know, and so those are the guys that we've got now. But we're also reaching out to electricians and landscapers and carpet cleaners and all that sort of thing. All the animals are singing behind me. So that's the service industry. Then that's distracting me. Ben, next time we're going to go 1 minute past.
1 minute past.
And then, so the Six Sigma part is Six Sigma is a business term, which is the perfecting of a business by the elimination of known and experienced errors, things that go wrong, right? So you want to expect the unexpected, but you still don't know how to build systems and processes until things happen that you didn't expect. So it's that slow perfecting of everything that goes wrong is Six Sigma, and that's the airline industry and the nuclear industry are classic Six Sigma industries. And so what we did then is we broke our businesses down into 6 sectors so we can know what we're going to talk about. So we have these 6 sectors. Starting at the top, we have attracting a customer. That's our influencing, social media, marketing, door hangers, or wraps, uniforms, all that sort of thing. Having attracted a customer, we need to convert them. So that's the sales process. And that could be automated with something like Responsibid, or it could be something that you do with Google Earth, or it could be something you do in person, right? All those strategies, we talk to people who go about that. Then we have to deliver. Now, today is all about delivery, tools and techniques. Today, we're talking about tools and mostly about waterfed. Yeah, in fact, all about waterfed. And then having learnt and mastered the delivery, we want to make sure we've got controls. And I think next Tuesday, we've got a CRM guy in, so we can start talking about CRMs and all the systems and processes, but it's SOPs and training manuals and training regimes and all those things we talk about in control. Now, that's ACDC, attract, convert, deliver, control. So you can remember Stairway to Heaven is ACDC. And having got that, you want to scale your business. That's the adding on of additional services and or the multiplication, replication of your delivery vehicles and crews. And then what we look for is the people that have mastered, these in different stages, is to the art of giving back. Now, you can give back locally to your community and or you give back to the industry, which is when you become a guest. And please recommend anybody you think who's an amazing person has got their stuff together, refer them to us, and we'll invite them to become a guest and be part of Service Six Sigma. So that is my pitch. Went a little bit long, but we're ready to rock and roll. So let's bring on the boys. Are they in the house? That's Peter Thomas.
Noah's coming shortly.
Okay, he had to duck
there
away.
he is.
There he is.
Oh, you wear glasses.
I do. I'm blind as a bat without him, man.
Wow.
Oh.
Woo.
I guess Peter's the odd one out tonight, unless he has glasses too.
No, Pete doesn't wear glasses.
No.
He's not old enough yet.
He's not old enough yet.
He's got a life of outdoors. So Peter's going to be there. You can see there. He's going to be doing some live demonstrations. We are going to geek out tonight. So I got Ben and Noah, who have got like a lot of experience, decades of experience in window cleaning and water fed. And then we're going to be geeking out on the design, on the process, understanding what it is. The fluid dynamics is what the science is called, the fluid dynamics of getting from the spigot, the outdoor tap or a tank, and getting it to the glass, whether the glass is at ground floor or at 6 stories, and all the things that affect it. And we've got Peter there to demonstrate. And I'm going to geek out on some of the maths so that the people who are a little bit technical can follow why it is that that brushes should be designed and not be converted brooms. So, where are you, Pete? Oh, your sound's not on, Pete. You're still muted. Hang on.
I am muted him. You're good.
Yeah. You're good now,
good?
Pete. Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
You got that's why you can wander around.
AC/DC, don't do Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, am I wrong? Who does it?
You are wrong.
Led Zeppelin.
But,
Oh,
yeah.
no. That shows you how.
Led Zeppelin does Stairway.
Okay, give me an AC/DC song, Pete, and I'll apply it.
Oh, you can't go to the shop for a sausage roll? No, it's a long way to the shop for a sausage roll.
It's a long way to shop for a sausage roll.
Oh, there's so many. Just
All right,
Google
we'll
it.
pick one
Back
off
in
screen.
black.
We'll pick one off screen. I'll find one that I can tell my story that applies to Service 6 Sigma. All right, where do we want to start, Ben? I think we might start with some of the photos that I sent you that I found on Google for brushing, right? And so now we're going to be talking about the existing and the original brushes. Basically, the history of the industry is from a pure water side. The history is Craig Morlam in the UK with Ionic Systems, right? He's the founder of Ionic Systems, and he's the grandfather or the godfather of the pure water side. But the whole water-fed brush side is the Tucker brothers from the United States, right? So one from the UK, one from the United States, and the Tucker brothers came out with a brush, right? And their original brush, actually, I have one in the factory, but the original brush had an over-the-top fan sprayer, right? Okay, so Ben's got one as well. So what we'll do is we'll go through these. So you have a look at these brushes. These are kind of like the brushes that are available on the market today, and we were the first. If you look at that blue one, we were the first people in the world to do that, is to put 4 pencil jets onto a brush. But the way we did it is you could screw and we've already covered that with Pete, but you could change the orifice of the jets. And what we're going to do today is not talk about the brush design particularly, but about the design of how the water flows through it and what are the resistances and forces and pressures and all of that. So let's go to Ben. Let me start with a little bit of let's get straight into one of your videos, Ben. Let's have a look at one of your videos demonstrating. Oh, Pete will be in with his Aussie guy.
What part of the videos do you want to see?
Let's have a look at some brushes, some of our brushes, squirting water. Oh, that one. That one. That's good.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, lovely demonstration. So you can see that the water is going out. This is a radial brush, radial rocker, all of this range have this radial spray, and you can see the water is going all the way to the outside edge, so that your water jets are actually covering when the splayed bristles that are on the glass rather than just squirting straight ahead. Because we used to when we brought out the first jets where we had them squirting straight ahead, but then you always left a gap. When you splay the bristle on the glass, you always leave a 1.5 2 inch gap, and therefore you have to get the brush off the glass in order to rinse the corners and the edges. So that's where that came from. Oh, what Ben is demonstrating here now is when you turn the brush on its side, and Pete will be able to do that as well, the top jets drop, right? So if the flow rate is correct, the top jets will close off. And more water will go out the bottom of the brush, less water out the top, and that way you don't. With a radial brush, you must angle the brush like a squeegee across the top edge, exactly the same as a squeegee, and then you don't wet above where you've agitated. That's critical. So that's in a technique sense. All right. Let's.
Somebody-
What are you?
Somebody's got a loud truck on.
Pete, what have you got going on in the background there?
It's our Garbos coming past.
Well, I wondered if it was the garbage truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay,
for
so-
your service.
So this is a G-force. That's good. You got the scrub on right there, Ben. But you have a look, like when you're looking at when ultimately what we're looking for is how far does the water need to squirt and where does it squirt? Yeah. And in this case, Ben's got way more water than what G-force needs. Yeah, because it's only got to squirt 1/2 inch and get to the glass. Yeah. But because everybody's used to pencil jets, we always expect that the water should squirt, 2 feet, 3 feet, and all that. And that's a good distance. But actually, it's not necessary for that for G-force. So G-force can run with 1/4 of a liter a minute. Light and ultralight can run with 1/3 of a liter a minute. 1/3 of a gallon per minute. And then radial and radial rocker can run with 1/2 gallon per minute. And then the solar rocker, the big one, runs with 3/4 of a gallon per minute. So everything is geared around flow rates, not around pressure. Yeah, and Ben put that on wrong. There you go. See how the So Ben, pause that and just go back to that scrub going on. And I'll show you something. Like again, Ben said to us, "Hey, that scrub's the wrong size. Like they're too big," and they're not. Right? What happens if you size the scrub the same as the brush, which is what everybody else does because it seems intuitively right, but it's actually wrong. When you go to the edges and when you go to the corners, there's nothing to go into the edges and into the corners. So we oversize the scrub so that when you push it into the corner or you push it against the edge, the scrub compresses and adds more force into that edge, right? Otherwise, your channel is running along the edge and you've only got you just don't have the same pressure to actually grab and clean especially the corners and the edges. Yeah, so you watch this. He's lined it up at one end, but you can see it's hanging out the other end. Yeah. All righty. So without further ado, let's go to Pete and we'll start doing some live demonstrations.
Oh, here's the solar rocker that you were talking about.
Oh, this is solar rocker, yeah. Okay, so solar rocker you'll see has got 8 jets on top and 26 jets underneath. So it's got a total of 34 jets, right? The reason it has all the jets on the bottom is because as window cleaners, we push it uphill. You heard that saying, right? We push the dirt up the window and we ask gravity to pull the dirt off the window. On a solar panel, when it's at a pitch, we're pushing it up and we're asking the water to come down, but it's not going to come down because there's not enough force or gravity or whatever like that. So we put the majority of the water under the brush. So your downstroke pulls, turbulates, disturbs, puts the dirt into suspension and pulls it off in the downstroke, right? So any solar panel brush with all the jets on top is not as efficient, as effective, because you'll be pushing it up, waiting for it to come down, pushing it up, waiting for it to come down. If you go to push it over the top of the panel, you've got a risk that you're going to drop your brush over the top of the panel because it's very difficult to see the location. Okay, what do we got here? We got this is, oh my God, this is from the 19th. You probably bought that relatively recently, I know. So this is a standard broom style brush. They were made 10 inches wide because the poles that they want to sell with them are cheap, so they're fiberglass or fiberglass hybrid. So then what happened is we put a big brush on a fiberglass pole and you can't even get it off the ground, you know. It just has to be floppy, so they made them smaller. And then you end up with just 2 pencil jets, right? And Pete's going to show how far they squirt with the same flow rate, but that's a pretty good demonstration. Now, you need that with pencil jets because you're going to do off-glass rinse and try and chase all the dirty water off the glass and replace it with clean water, but you can't see the difference between the dirty water and the clean water. So it ends up taking you a whole lot of time as you zigzag in the window. Yep.
It has so much water pumping through that it's leaking out the sides.
Yes, and that's the other thing, and you'll hear me talk about that. I'll explain why all those issues, you know. Yeah. So, and then obviously, then he's got a rinse bar over the top of it as well, right? But it's super small brush. So when you get a super small brush, you might go, "Oh, this is really cool," but the number of strokes you have to do, like with a 10-inch brush to go across a 34-inch or a 36-inch window, even if you get your overlaps right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of strokes or 5 sets of strokes up and down, to get the agitation right. And if you went to something like an 18-inch ultralight, then it would be 2 sets of strokes or 3 sets of strokes. Yeah. So you see that compared. Oh, now Ben's going to show us something which. So we've got the jets squirting at the glass, and then you're having a look underneath the brush, and you can see Ben's going to put his hand there. But water is so close to transparent that you can't see it. But he's showing that most of that water is actually coming down through the brush. So the water's falling through the brush, so you don't get the benefit of the volume of water. Even the volume of the water, you're not getting it all, effectively for the rinse the way we do with a radial. So you'll see guys will take that off the glass and turn it sideways and try and rinse with that off glass. But off glass rinsing is inefficient compared to on glass rinsing, where you agitate on the upstroke and rinse on the downstroke. Yeah. So we're going to show that with Pete as well. What else you got for us, Ben? Oh, look at this. Okay, so this is a light. Yeah. And it's got loads of water there, that's more water than what you want for the light, way more water than you want. But that water falls off the edge, whichever way you go, the water is going for the. So when you rinse down the edge, all the water is going down the edge. So any spider webs, any sticky stuff, all the debris is all being washed off with the flow rate that you've got. But the light range of brushes are all designed for 1/3 of a gallon a minute, less water use. Yeah. Compared to the radials and the rockers. Yeah. Yeah, and then angle it. And there's no water under the brush. So the bristles act as a blade, and then they stop the water from falling through the brush for the best part. You normally angle the brush slightly so it's not straight up and down, because you want the water to go to one side, the side where it is. Yeah. And then we'll talk about
probably that it's leaking down here because there's a lot of water going through this pump. So I need to turn down.
Yeah, you've just got to overload. That's pretty typical as somebody, because Ben's new to Reach It, so it's pretty typical that people think pressure is important and they don't put in controllers and things like that. So it's all part of what Flow Black and Flow Gold will demonstrate. Yeah. And also the further you squirt, the jets are squirting higher than where the bristles are. Our job is just to put the water on the bristles. The bristles break the surface tension of the glass, right? So the water will cascade, and then what we're looking for is the pure water to inherit that broken surface tension, right? And so you don't need loads of water. Yeah, there you go. All right, how's that, Noah?
It's pretty interesting. I'm sitting back and just enjoying. I'm taking notes and writing down all the gallons per minute recommended for the brushes.
You'll never.
All right, so that's what we've done to try and get everybody in, right? To say, okay, there's a lot of things to talk about, and we'll the simple answer is, understand that the radial brushes, if you get radial brushes, you can have everything else can be whatever you've got. But you get a radial brush and you want to control the flow rate to the designed flow rate of whatever brush you're using. And all of our brushes in the radial range all use 1/2 gallon a minute, 2 liters a minute. All the brushes in the light and the ultralight use 1/3 of a gallon per minute. And all the brushes in the G-Force uses about 1/4 of a gallon per minute. Right? So Ben, Pete is going to demonstrate that for us now. Welcome, Mr. Peter Thomas from Perth, Australia.
G'day.
Now, Pete is the same as me. He's semi-retired, so his van is out in the field, his actual system. So he has his prototype of Flow Gold, which he built, which he calls Flow Black.
Flow Black,
because it's old and dirty.
Old and dirty, right? So, but this is a Flow Gold, got a grunt.
This is the original Flow Red. Wasn't even Flow Red Plus.
Yeah, I can't see red. I think it might have been an original Flow.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah, the original before the Flow Red. Yeah. There you go.
Number 17, I think, out of the factory.
There you go. Yeah. So this is going to be our source. Peter can control everything. Yeah, Pete, you take the reins.
Just a disclaimer. Nothing's going to change through this hose. It's going to run into 100 meters of rhino tube for the industry norm. And second test is 50 meters of radial hose and 2 lots of high flow. So that's going to bring it up to 100 meters as well. So they're both the same length at the brush.
Yeah, so it's total in imperial terms, it's a 330 feet, 150 feet, let's say 300 feet, 150 feet of radial hose, 150 feet of high flow tube, which is what we recommend as the maximum system and the correct configuration for that. All right, let's go, Pete.
All right. So what do you want to? You tell me what you want, and I'll try and replicate it.
Well, let's put let's just cover something which people would never believe. First is the difference between the 8mm 5/16 tube and radial hose and high flow in flow
On a
rate.
pencil jet?
Yeah, why not? That's where anybody who's using rhino tube must be using a pencil jet.
An Australian manufactured and sold brush.
Yeah, right.
Everyone has one. Beautiful. It's all square locks, and this is huge and doesn't fit anything at all. So you're stuck with it. I think there's more of these.
And the displacement is long as well. But anyway, that's another point.
And I think there's more of those sitting in the back rooms of sheds anywhere.
I mean, it's a typical. It's a typical broom. It's a piece of plastic. It's got bristles that are folded and stamped in with a hopefully stainless steel staple or a steel staple, and then drill 2 holes, put in a brass barb, and then push the plastic tube onto the brass barb, and there goes your water-fed brush.
Yeah, they're not threaded.
What's he holding?
They're just pushed in.
Is he holding a remote?
Yeah. Like
That's
Flow
cool.
Gold.
Yes.
Flow Gold is all.
That's awesome.
All right. So, can you see the end of it there
Yeah.
on the paving? So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
What?
Yep. Look
4
all the
meters
way
away,
to the
so-
right, and you'll see the water on the ground. Right.
Yep. Or on the fence.
No,
It's like a pressure washer.
Right.
No, on the ground was good.
On the ground is
So-
good. All right. So that's pressure washing out of the system,
Yep.
and
Great
you
for off
can't
glass
see
rims.
it. Hang on. I'll bring it down so you can see it. But I thought, there's going to be a bit of this going on, so don't worry. Don't panic.
Yep.
On the unit, I've got a litres per minute gauge. So that's poking out about 0.7, 0.8.
Right. So
This pump-
0.8 liters
this
per minute
pump-
is less than a quarter of a gallon per minute.
Yep. So that's on the controller. Speed controller is flat out. And
Right.
yeah, we're down there somewhere. All right. So
Amazing.
that's the pencil jet. That's the normal system everyone starts off with.
Okay, go back to the flow rate, Pete. Just double check the flow rate so that everybody's got it in their mind what the flow rate is.
All right. We're 0.7.
0.7, which is less, like 1 is a quarter of a gallon per minute.
So that can go there. All I'm going to do is swap that onto that. Grab that.
The same brush.
Then the adapter. Where the hell did that go?
No.
I'm organised. There's
That's
one.
all right. I'm going to explain. While you're doing that, you look for it. So what we're observing is velocity, right? So all the way through your fluid dynamic system, from the spigot to the brush, is basically an open tube, and then as soon as there's resistance, then we get a reduction in flow rate and an increase in pressure. So you increase resistance, then the pressure behind the resistance increases, so your pressure gauge goes up, right? And the final orifices that are in your system before it goes into the air, which is 1 atmosphere of pressure, but we say no pressure, right? But when we go into the air and we squirt sideways, that final one, the differential between the pressure in front of that and the pressure after that determines the velocity. The flow rate stays the same. You can take your brush off and measure it. You can put your pencil jets on and measure it. You can put your radial brush with 26 jets on and measure it. The flow rate is consistent. It's a constant at that cross section of the system. What changes is the velocity of that flow rate through that restriction. So when you've got 2 pencil jets, the velocity will be faster, and therefore the water will squirt further. When you get to a radial brush with 26 jets, the velocity doesn't need to be as fast because we're rinsing on glass. So we only need the water to squirt 6 inches, 8 inches, something like that, like Ben. And so then the velocity is less, and when the velocity is less, we don't need as much pressure, right? We don't need pressure. We just need the flow rate. So our job is to preserve the flow rate through our fluid dynamic system, not to increase the pressure to get more flow rate. An attempt to get more flow rate, because it doesn't, mathematically it doesn't work. All right, where are you, Pete?
I'm here. I hope I'm here. Am I here?
Yep, you're here.
Yep. I've got this brush now. I've got the brush set up through the radial hose reel, so 100 meters again, and I'm out another section. So that's a fair way. That's pressure cleaning.
Yeah, you can clean anything.
But
what's the flow rate?
Oh, look at that.
I've doubled it.
1.
Oh, wow.
That's double the flow. Bit hard one-handed. Sorry, guys.
Hang on a sec. I'm muting myself because there's a motorbike going by.
So that's basically way too much.
Yeah, that's too much even for using pencil jets, right?
Yeah. All right. So what would you like next? A radial on the small hose, flat out?
Yeah, let's do the same. Yep, put a radial brush on the 8mm hose tube. Oh no, just do it in reverse. Exactly where you were. We'll go backwards. Yeah, do it on the high flow first, and then we'll go back to the radial. To the right. Yeah. So people know the high flow is a 3/8 OD hose. Now, some people say I can buy a 3/8 OD hose, I can buy any 3/8 OD hose, and it's not the same. We're not interested in the OD of the hose, actually. We're interested in the ID of the hose, because the ID is where the water goes, right? The internal diameter, right? So if you run off and buy we've seen people, copy our 3/8 hose. It's actually a 10mm hose. They get a 3/8 hose, which is a 9.6mm, and then the wall thickness is bigger, and then you end up with less internal area, through which the water goes. So then you won't get the same result from a flow rate point of view. Doesn't mean it's terminal, just means it's not the same. That's all I'm saying. All right, back to Pete.
All right, so that's a radial.
Yep.
Going through 100 meters. And
what's the flow rate?
Actually 2.7, 2.6, 2.7.
Okay.
So that is nearly ideal.
On the same settings. Yeah.
I can turn that down a little bit.
Yeah, I would turn it down. But so this is what it should look like, Ben. But you know what Peter's doing? He's go down.
Yeah, can you lower that down a little bit, Peter? Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
Or come closer to the camera.
What Peter's going to demonstrate is that he's testing that flow rate, so that, see those top jets, we don't want them to squirt above where you've agitated. Right, otherwise you're going to introduce dirt into your rinse from the if you're doing the glass or from the frame, if you're doing the frame from the stucco or the building.
And right? On a negative rinse, you know you're not going to hit the window at all.
Yep. Yeah. So you got total control over a straight line rinse on the glass, not wetting the frame. Yeah, you could have scrubbed the frame and it's dripped. Now you want to just rinse across the top, as part of that final process. Yeah.
And another interesting one, I'm now down at 1.8 litres a minute. So that's not using any water.
Yeah.
And what is that
1.8.
to?
It's half a gallon a minute, basically.
Okay.
3.8 litres, 1 gallon. Yeah. So you saw
So
that?
now-
That's hey, Pete, just do that again. Hit that again. This, to understand, right, that the radial brushes are designed around a flow rate so that the brush delivers you the possibility of the efficiency. The idea is that you can agitate on the upstroke, rinse on the downstroke. Now, when you go across the top edge at 45 degrees, tip it at 45 degrees, Pete. The other way. 45 degrees with the high side. Yep. So you're going to go across the top. The water is going to go to where the bristles are. So you can follow the bristles across the top. The water is going to rinse behind the brush. Then turn it slowly into the corner, Pete, for the jiggy jig. You see how those jets all turn on again? And then the water is going to flush out the corner. Right? Because the jets, those outside jets activate again because now the gravity is not pulling the water out of the bottom of the jets. It's now reactivating them, so they rinse through the corner. And we'll put it on the glass.
I'll show it on the glass later, eh?
Yeah, we'll show it on the glass later. Okay, so half a gallon a minute, critical, and then you get all of these benefits for on-glass rinse without introducing what could be spot create. We get some guys and they just get the brush and they plug it in, it's got too much water, and then they say, oh, I got spots, right? That's not the brush, right? We didn't train them properly. And so we've kept all the settings the same. So now we're on half a gallon a minute if we were using the radial hose and the radial tube.
A bit of high flow. Hang on.
Now we're going back to the 5/16.
I just need a little bit of high flow. Hang on.
Okay. Oh, just with an adapter. Yeah, I know what you're doing. Yeah. So all fluid dynamics should go from large to small. As you go from if you think about the water coming out of your dam, right, or your reservoir in your town, right, those pipes are like 2 feet, 3 feet, by the time it gets to your house, it's half inch, right? So the fluid dynamics engineer is stepping down continually, right, and dividing so that they're maximizing the flow rate to your house, right? And then you think there's only 2 houses on your street, so you both run your bath or your shower, and there's loads of water. You can almost get a massage, right? 26 people on your street, they all run the bath. There's less, or you have a shower and it's less, right? So that's the logic where you're stepping down from big to small. So whatever you do with your pure water system, you should always go from spigot to the filter with your garden hose, something like that. Never something smaller, because you don't want to throttle the supply, right? And your garden hose is probably about the same ID as what is under the ground for the spigot and coming up to the spigot riser. All right, so let's look at this. This is 5/16 tube, 8mm tube on the radial, and we would say that's too small, too little. Yeah. See what happens? Oh, yeah, there you go. Great demonstration. See how much of the water is being pulled by gravity out of the top bristles, out of the top jets, sorry. Do it again, Pete, and hold it. Yeah, and lift it up a wee bit so we got the contrast, because we've got the reel behind it. There you go. See, so the top half of the jets are not working. What's the flow rate at that, Pete?
0.6.
Right, so the flow rate went from 1.8 to 0.6 by changing from a 3/8 hose to a 5/16 hose.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, it's absolutely critical. And if you get that, like, don't worry, when everybody watches, all our competitors watch this, you watch them and they'll be selling 3/8 hose like crazy. Yeah. Because this is the art of the flow rate. And when you look at pure water systems and the whole systems that people sell, like when they only have to feed 2 pencil jets, right? The pure water system doesn't have to have anything. Like, it's just nothing, because you only want to squirt 3 feet, so you don't need a flow rate, so you don't have to worry about any of the design. But for us, because we designed the radial brush, we had to redesign the Flow Red to the Flow Red Plus, and then we had to redesign Flow Red Plus to to flow gold to overcome the other issues that window cleaners face when they change from one site to the other.
We had a question from Sean. Short garden hose preferred?
Yeah, because in reality, you should always use. Oh, Pete, let's do. Let's do this. Yeah, we'll do this. In all situations, understanding that the wall friction, the water running against the wall has got friction, and water is running in a laminar sense, so it's running in layers. So the ones against the wall have got friction against the wall, so they're going to go slower. And then the next layer in, and then the center has got the fastest. Now, the easiest way to understand that and train it is look at a river. Just go to a river, don't look at the rapids, right? The rapids is your final jets, right? The river got small or the river got narrow and then it became a rapid, right? So that's your final, But if you look at it when it's meandering and the water's calm, then the water is slower against the bank. Throw a bit of wood in there and see how fast it goes. Throw it to the middle of the river and see how fast it goes, and the water travels fastest in the middle. So the wider you make that river, the less effect the bank has on the river, right? On the flow of the river. So what we want is to widen the river, which means use a bigger tube. So now, when you've got that resistance, it's cumulative, right? So it's a cumulative resistance, which is a cumulative back pressure. When people say, I need more pressure, right? Well, just you want pressure, make the hose as thin as possible, and you'll have loads of pressure, right? But this is why I'm myth busting this, because you don't need pressure, you want flow rate. So the shorter the piece of hose that you use, the less cumulative resistance you've got in your system. All right, Pete, back to you.
All right, same setting as the radial with a little tiny one.
This is the French paintbrush, right?
Yep, 6-inch.
Yep.
Now that's way too much. So I can control that down to basically the pump's just ticking, and it's that small. I haven't even got a reading on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's at 0.7, so it's probably still too much.
Yeah. Now, if that was on Z-force on the blade, then it's not too much because you want that water to flush. But when you're on your French paints, the idea of that French paintbrush is you've got a scrub that scrubs the glass and the bristles. A, break the surface tension so you get the perfect rinse, and B, the bristles go over the frames, right? So you actually are cleaning the frames while you're cleaning the glass in the middle, so you don't have to off-glass rinse, even in French paints.
See, the Z-force has the bigger jets too.
He calls it Z-force because he's Australian, and we call it Z-force because we speak American.
And it's aluminium too.
Not aluminum. And one-story building, two-story building is spelt STOREY in Australia. Okay, so
the Z-force?
Lift it up a wee bit because what you've got is the real in the background.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you could probably come closer.
So that's actually sort of.
That's pretty ideal. Oh, what did you drop? AirPod.
So
yeah, that's Z-force, water-fed blade, and that's perfect.
Yeah. So that's just trickling out the pump.
So remembering. Yep, go.
Good on the glass. It's good on the glass
Yeah.
because it's lubricating it as you're going.
Yeah,
one way.
and washing off your debris, so your debris is not going to get stuck underneath you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete, that's a good point. Like, while anybody's watching this, if they do buy Z-force, remember that it's an upstroke only tool, not an up and down tool.
Because that's where you scratch.
Yeah, on the
Anything,
downstroke.
with any scraper at all.
Yeah.
It's off one way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
and the beauty of this is that you can scrape vertical over
Yes.
an area or down.
Yeah, unbelievable flexibility, and also because you can see it here as a hand tool, but it's actually also a pole tool, so you can put it up to 2 and 3 stories if you need to.
Yep.
And in that sense, the relationship between the angle of the pole and the glass will change depending on where you're standing, and so you need that angle adapter to be able to compensate for that because you still want your blade to be hitting the glass at somewhere between 35 and 45 degrees to be effective.
Yep.
Barry, Sean had a question for you. He said,
mate,
how does too much flow create water spots?
So it's not too much flow creates water spots. What happens is that the jets, because they're a radial jet, right? And we want the jets to land just in front of the bristles so that they inherit the broken surface tension and they cascade, right? So the cascading rinse is a perfect rinse, right? When you've got hydrophobic glass, and Pete's going to show that later. When you've got hydrophobic glass, then if it doesn't cascade, you can't be sure that you've rinsed properly. But with the radial brushes, if your jets are squirting up above where your top bristle is, you may not have agitated and cleaned that. So then that jet will grab some dust and dirt, and it's not the dirt that was on the window before, but it grabs that dirt and drops it into your rinse water. So you think your rinsing was pure water, but you've actually introduced some dirt that when those water beads evaporate, that dirt will still be on the glass. Yeah. So it's just if you have too much water pressure with a radial brush, you're going to wet above where you've agitated, wet above where you've cleaned, and that will ultimately give you grief. Now, some guys who, if you ever do that, then you just go back and say, I need to re-rinse that area, 5 seconds later, because it'll have run off by then, But the logic for high efficiency is to not do that. What you got now, Pete?
Well, I think that's
Australia's best-selling brush.
Yeah, Australia's best-selling brush. Shall we put it on the glass?
Yeah.
Because I think that side of things.
That side.
Yeah.
Well, you do that, and I'll go while you're getting ready to go to the glass. I will go through some of the reason why this works. Yeah.
All right.
And then you can let us know when you're ready. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Ben, if we go to my slides, I'm going to go through the geeky bit so that everybody understands that this is actually mathematical, not by chance. No, go to that slide, just that slide there. And you have a look at that red brush. And I'll just point out that when there's pencil jets, in order to get the pencil jets to work, we need to take the bristles out of the brush, right? So that's a seven row of bristles, if you count them in the center, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see 7 rows of bristles. But where the jets are, there's only 4 rows of bristles. So you don't have a consistent, constant agitation across the width of a pencil jet brush. Like it doesn't make sense. So then you can see, I think Pete's going to show us later one with a fan jet. So once you try and put fan jets into the middle of a brush, the fans also are very difficult to get the fans to not conflict with the bristles, especially when you understand that when you go to look at a brush, you look at it off the glass. The reality is you should look at a brush on the glass, because we compress the brush. They're all dual trim or triple trim, so that you push the bristles and the bristles splay, and then you want to look at the behavior of the brush on the glass, because that's when it's doing its work, not holding it up and going, oh look, I can squirt 10 feet or something, And then okay, let's go down and we'll explain some of these configurations. This one is also, one of the standard brushes that gets sold. These brushes it's a plastic block, two barbs drilled in, a couple of bits of tube, right? It's a 5/16 tube feeding 2 5/16 tubes feeding a 1 millimeter or a 1/24 inch hole. So 2/24, 1/12 is the final resistance. So, but the inefficiency of that is crazy, and we'll go over that with Pete. Okay, let's go. Oh, but yeah, you might see your clamps there if you buy a sticker brush, a sticker pole. Okay, why 10 millimeter matters? That's good, or 3/8 inch. All right, so this is the math, right? The green circle is the ID of a 5/16 inch tube. I'm going to do it in metric, so it's 5 millimeters. And what we know is that the area of green is the formula pi r squared. Yeah. And the area of blue is also the formula pi r squared. Turn that thing down. So if the internal diameter is 5 millimeters, then the radius r, the radius, is 2.5. And so you can see 2.5 times 2.5 is 6.25. Whereas if you've got like high flow tube is 6.7, then you can see that it's that the radius times the radius is 11.22. So when we've taken pi out because both of them are pi r squared, right? Pi radius of a 5/16 tube squared, pi times radius of a 3/8 inch tube squared. But you can see the difference from a 5 millimeter ID to a 6.7 millimeter ID is almost double. So for the purposes of talking to a window cleaner, we can say you can get twice the flow rate for the same pressure or the same flow rate for half the pressure, right? Because the resistance, the resistance is basically double. That's the math sitting behind why it works. Okay, let's go to the next one. You tell me when you're ready, Pete. So yeah, 180%, basically 180% more flow rate. But there are other things. So you saw Pete go from 0.7 to 1.6, so it's actually more than double. But this shows you the basic math why it is that way. All right, let's go to Pete.
Yo.
All right, here we are in the beautiful residence in Perth.
What we've all been doing for many, many years.
Oh, look at that.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So we're going to agitate. We're trying to get the dirt off the glass and put it into suspension. And then we're going to say, okay, it's like wet wipe, dry wipe. Or
sorry, I couldn't do that on a pole.
Right. And now we're going to try and rinse all that off. And you can see that you cannot tell the difference between dirty water and clean water. So therefore, you basically, on hydrophobic glass, like that's beautifully hydrophobic, you've basically got to go every inch all the way down. So that window would take, total of, 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes to clean, mostly because of the rinse.
Well, if it's up like this.
Yeah, but but then you got to take the brush down and do that, because when you got a pole, that's not so easy, right?
And this is still at the same low flow rate.
Okay, and it's yeah, and when you're on a pole and the pole is flexing and you need to rinse a hydrophobic piece of glass, you're going to put the brush on the frame and then you're going to twist the brush sideways, right? And then squirt the water across the glass and wiggle the brush. And that's why out of round poles came into play. But in fact, they came into play when the technology changed, because once you introduce a swivel, you introduce on glass rinse, there's no reason for an out of round pole because there's no rotational torque. You twist the pole, the brush twists like that.
Hang on, not enough pressure to run the radio.
Okay, back to me. Yep.
2 seconds.
Okay.
That should be good.
How are we going, Noah?
I'm just soaking all this in. I got my notes. I'm writing it all down. I was interested to see because I had used this guy yesterday. And it was a job that would normally take an hour and a half, big exterior job, and I was there for probably 2 hours just soaking it up and trying new things and trying to understand different tactics and ways to approach it. And I noticed one side where I had more flow rate than probably what that brush was intended for. I had more spots. And so as you said that, it correlated with me, and then I got to the other side where I ran a little bit more hose and my flow rate died down. I had no spots there. So I was thinking about that. I've been processing and wondering, okay, well, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you put the spots there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's an education, and that's why we don't sell through resellers, because they don't want to educate this.
Yeah, it was user error is what I was saying. It's my fault. It wasn't the brush's fault.
It's also ours, because we need, when somebody's a customer, this is part of the generational change that we're going to, is how do we get that information, because most guys that are in cleaning would prefer to hear it from somebody or watch it in a video than read it in the store, and then they read it in the store and bought it and then forgot it, because then they went back to their tugger brush or something, while they're waiting for it to arrive, so it's a journey.
Let me say this. So I watched the G-Force video in my work van of you and Harrison on the side of that building and watched you guys work through it and talk through it. And then I went to go try and implement it. And it was my first time. I didn't know how to implement it yet. But the second time I got the hang of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Starting to pick it up more.
Yeah, it's an education. But that's
For sure.
worth it because education always delivers a higher income. That's why we go to school, we go to technical college, we go to university, right? We do online courses. It always delivers a higher income. If you can't educate somebody about something, they cannot earn more. If you can and they do, they will. It's really powerful.
Whenever you're ready.
Pete. All right, let's go.
All right, so now we've got the rocker, and we've got messy rinse, but we'll go up to the tops. And then a negative rinse.
Pretend it's on a pole, Pete, because that's not really, you'd have to angle it. No, just pretend even. Okay. Yeah, because you can't turn it. You can't turn it that way on a pole. Yeah, you can only turn it there. No, to there you can, but you had it tipped over even further.
Oh,
yeah, you'd done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't do that on a pole. So you'd go in. Yeah, there you go. So what's Pete's showing is he can go across the top there, and that water is not wetting above where he's running the bristles.
Yeah.
Because the flow rate.
So I wouldn't go back up the top again at all.
Yeah. I think put it on a pole, Pete. Pete, run and grab a pole because some of the angles are not replicable. Now we do have radial handle. If you wanted to use a brush as a hand tool, then we have radial handle, and then you can set the handle. So if the brush is against the glass here, you can set the handle parallel to the glass and hold it like this, like any other hand tool. And then you can actually run it using the proper muscles in your arm, not too much of the wrist.
Yeah,
so
baby.
But we normally recommend that for the ultralight and the light. You don't want to have a big heavy brush. Here we go. Yeah,
there we go. Jiggy jig.
Jiggy jiggy in the corner.
Negative rinse. Jiggy jig.
Jiggy.
Top's done.
Yeah. Then it's 5 degree or 10 degree angle down the frame.
That's dry.
Yeah.
Occasional drip. Yep. The final side rinse going straight down into it. That's fine. Bit of a negative rinse. You can have a slow vertical.
If you were on a higher building, you wouldn't turn the brush to 90 degrees, right? This is when you're doing 1-story buildings like Pete's doing now. Yeah.
Oh, you still get enough control to be like that up high. I wouldn't do any more than 4 or 5 stories because you want that brush to be locked.
Yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't need to be at 90 degrees. It can be at 45 and it'll do the same.
Yeah.
Do the same thing. Yeah. There you go. And see that angle going down the side? Like if you think when you go to train your staff how to use these brushes, you'd say like teach them proper, squeegee technique, and then you teach them to use radial like squeegee. Radial technique is squeegee technique. Like
and what pole is
that? Pole is Connect, I think.
No, Trad 4.
Oh, Trad 4. Beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it gives you the ergonomic ability to do everything here as well.
We can only see down to your belt.
Oh, this one? You see that one? Or this one?
No.
That one we can start to see, yeah.
Mm.
Hang on.
There we go. There we go.
So with the small pole, you don't have to get down on your hands and knees. That just feels natural.
Yes.
And you can still control your rinse beautifully.
Yeah. And so when you look at it, this brush has a 2-inch bristle, right? And then the light range has about a 1 2/3 inch bristle. Ultralight has about a 1/2 inch bristle. A 1 inch bristle. And G-Force is about 1/2 inch. So you go from 2 inches in a radial and radial rocker down to 1/2 inch on a G-Force. Each brush is different. As the bristle gets shorter, the same bristle becomes stiffer, right? So if you imagine a straw or anything like that, you know, like it's easy to bend, right? But if it gets really short, it's harder to bend. You know, that it's that there's a physics dynamic that the shorter something is of the same diameter, the more rigid it behaves. So when you get to Pete's now got what, an ultralight on there, Pete?
Ultralight. Can you see the top at all?
No.
Bugger. That's what I wanted to show you.
Bugger.
Oh, back again.
So the reason why we can use a lower flow rate on a ultralight compared to a radial is because with a radial we need to get at least 2 inches to get to the other side of the bristles and get the water to land on the bristles. Whereas with an ultralight, we only need to get 1 inch and a little bit to get it, right? So it's all together. It's not just, can I bolt on a rinse bar and make this look like a radial? It's not like that. So this brush is a 6-ounce brush without its gooseneck. Yeah, just the brush on its own, 6 ounces, 170 grams. You know, it's a crazy, crazy light brush. So
for an old guy.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That top rinse is not hitting the rubber.
Oh, not even the rubber on the frame, right? So if you've got an old building and that rubber seal has crinkled, you end up with a cavity in there, and it's always dirty. And then we have it from all window cleaning, but mostly water fed. And then what happens? The water gets caught. Go to me, Ben, please. Show me, Ben. There you are. So you get up to the frame, and across the frame there's basically, you know, crinkle in the rubber in the seal, and then what happens is the water gets stuck up there, and the surface tension of the water, which is the same surface tension that makes it bead on the window or bead on the bonnet of your car, right? It's what's wonderful about water, but it's got a surface tension. So that surface tension holds that water in that little gap. And then as that water evaporates, water always evaporates from the outside surface, of course. So the water will evaporate, and eventually the little blob of water that's in that little hole is heavier than the surface tension. That relationship changes, and then it goes and drops it, and it's all dirty water, and you get a streak. That's where the streak comes from. So when you look at that accuracy, which Pete, he could go to a building, or he's cleaned it before and he knows it's got the potential to streak, he can take that little bit extra time across the top, which we also do with a squeegee. Like if we need to, we take a little bit longer across the top and the rest of the window's easy, right? So the same logic, take a little bit longer across the top and don't wet into the rubber, and then you will not get a streak, even though it would streak under all other conditions.
What else you want me to throw up there?
I think the cascade, let's see if we can see the cascade, you know, when that, you know, if you take the jets off the glass.
Pressure wash.
Yeah, not sideways, just horizontal. Yeah, like that. So you can see the water just, you know, it's hydrophobic, so the glass repels the water, and you can't get anything which looks like a proper rinse. You don't know what's rinsing and what's not, so you often get spots on hydrophobic glass. Not because you just can't see the difference. So Pete, if you just go horizontal again, not sideways, because most window cleaning is horizontal, yeah, and then go down, and you should be able to see that cascaded. That didn't. There's above the brush. The water doesn't river down, so you get a total cascading, and that's nearly dry by the looks of it, is it, Pete? Mm-hmm. The window. Yeah. So when you compare pencil jet, if you put the pencil jets up there again, Pete, just splash the window. I don't know if we can see with the camera that far away, but basically the beads, there are more beads, and
oh yeah,
there are more beads when you rinse like that, you leave more beads on the glass and bigger beads. When you cascade the water, you end up with less beads and smaller beads. Now, when does that apply? Why does that apply? It doesn't matter because you've got pure water, so the water's going to evaporate and there'll be no spots. When it applies is pollen season or, dust storm coming through, right? And the beads of water are still on the glass because in the pollen season and when the beads are, and when the dust is blowing, the dust and the pollen are going to stick to the bead before it dries, and it's going to dry and it's going to evaporate from the outside in, and the beads are all going to get like dropped into the center of what was a bead, right? So there's an added advantage of making sure that the beads are as small as possible and as few as possible in that seasonal sort of moment.
Back to me?
Yeah, but Sean, there's no such thing as hydrophobic glass as far as being a window cleaner if you do on-glass rinse with a radial, because the bristles break the surface tension of the glass, and the water jets. We're not trying to rinse with the jets like you are with a pencil jet. With a pencil jet, you're actually trying to replace dirty water with clean water. With a radial brush, we're putting the water on top of the bristles. All the water is staying on top of the bristles. Like it's going to go. If you angle it slightly, all the water is going to go to one side. So you've got the whole flush is going off to one side, and it's cascading, so it behaves hydrophilic. And then you take it off the glass, and it behaves. Pete, can you move your cameras? Let's see if we can prove that. Can you move your camera right to the glass?
Closer.
Jesus.
Sorry, bro.
Give your boy a go. So what do you want?
Yeah, there you go. Are you on the glass? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not a Ben. I'm not out here.
Oh my God.
Bring it out here. Bring it out here and show the brush. Yeah, bring it out. Now off the glass. Right. So you see that the water is repelling. Yeah. And then if you try and rinse like that, each one of those jets is rinsing basically a vertical stream of water, but in between those jets hitting the glass, you can see that it's not rinsing. Yeah. So if you now, Pete, follow that, but put the brush on the glass and pull it down so we can see you see what happens? You see how few beads there are. And
interesting.
Yeah. That's how few beads there are. And that because it's not behaving hydrophobic. That's cascading. All that water is cascading off the glass, and you end up with less beads and smaller beads. Yeah.
To the stage where that's still wet. Yeah.
But when we talk about Tomcat and green rubber, that's the same effect we're talking about. Is that there, the grab.
And that's called on glass rinse.
Yeah.
On
so
glass
you can
rinse.
see it up. Hang on, let me just balance myself. You can see that top jet. How close
No.
No, we can't.
You got
There you
left
go.
up. We need
There
a
you go.
better cameraman.
There you go.
Oh, fuck off. It's hard watching where you're going and how you're doing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
And you get the same effect with the G-force as well.
yeah, there you go.
It's
And then
just so accurate.
the bristles were touching the seal, and the jets were rinsing just below the seal.
And what angle is
Yeah.
that, Peter?
I'd be running.
Well, he's running a negative. He's running a negative angle. Pete, can you run it with a positive angle? Yeah. No, and then go the other way.
So you'd have to go.
No, that's a negative angle again. See, this is you can do this when you're in one-story buildings, but if you turn the brush clockwise, and then turn it clockwise. See how if you Pete, just push that up against the frame like that, and then show. And Noah, you see that?
Mhm.
That those jets are going to introduce dirt into the rinse.
That's what I ran into yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never ever run it flush like a tucker brush. You'd never run it like a tucker brush against the frame because it's
I
not
got
a tucker.
I got a question for Peter if he can demonstrate. Let's say you're approaching this house and it's a twice a year or something like that, and the frames are pretty dirty. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you clean up the frames, and then
Yep.
how are you waiting a certain duration of time and going to another window before you come back and do the rest of the window, or are you just going to go ahead and clean it?
9 times out of 10, depends how many there are. If you've got a set like this and there's another set next door, yeah, I might just come up and where are you, Perry?
Yep.
It's got a video up.
This is from Byron. He just sent
Oh,
these to me. He said to play these.
Stay with Pete while he's answering Noah, and then we'll come back to that.
Okay.
So we're
Yeah,
talking
but-
technique, but you can see that how critical the flow rate, because the real conversation is about the flow rate, and
Sure.
it's critical. It's critical you get the flow rate right so that you can use the technique right. That's why we have to cover the technique to make it make sense. Like, why do I need that flow rate? Well, if you have too much water, you're going to wet above what happened to you. If you use the wrong technique and you push the brush against the frame, our radial water will wet above where you've agitated, so the dirt's going to come into your rinse water. So it's a tool with a technique. So you've got to, when anybody who gets a radial or becomes a radial customer, they've got to change their technique and then they get the efficiency, because your efficiency doesn't come from your tool, it comes from your technique with the tool. If you use a radial brush the same as you use a tucker brush, you're going to take exactly the same amount of time because it's the technique, right? So we want to take less time. We need to change the technique, and the radial brush is designed for a technique. There's so much. That's all I can try and show you is there's so much science in it. All right, this is Byron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Byron's probably out in the bush cleaning a job, and you can see he with the right flow rate, and he can just rinse perfectly, not wet that little frame above it. Yeah. So with a radial brush, all you're trying to do is put the water on the glass above the jets. Yeah.
Now he has his upside down.
Yeah, if he's got his upside down, he will be trying to get the dirt off first, because with G-force, the G is for gyro, right? If you look at the logo, there's a little YRO in the dash, right? So G-force is intended that you can just spin it around, because what we learned is, most of the time we're pushing stuff uphill and waiting for gravity to pull it downhill. Well, we learned in solar panel brush, and then Byron worked out that with the G-force, you can just spin it over, and you can use the jets under for the first pass, one pass, and all that dirt, all that dust. It's not the scrubby stuff, right? Where you got to work on it, but all the dust that's just sitting on the glass, it'll all come off in the first stroke, because you got all the water and you're turbulating. You're going faster than gravity, so you're actually turbulating underneath the tool. The water. Oh, that's a good question. I'll answer that one. The logic is, if you're cleaning regularly, like weekly, bi-weekly, even possibly monthly, depending on what's on the glass, but if it's just salt and stuff like that, you can go to a one pass clean. Let me answer it this way. When you're a traditional window cleaner, the agitation is done by the mop. If you're doing storefronts, well, you do storefronts, don't you, Noah?
Yes,
how many times
tons.
on a standard? I'll come to that, Sean, the annually. On a standard weekly clean or bi-weekly clean, how many times does the mop go over the glass before you pull the squeegee?
Once.
Thank you. Same with the brush. Same. All the rules. I studied the squeegee and the mop, and I applied it to the brush to make a window cleaning tool that's for a window cleaner, right? So the same. If you could traditionally one agitation pass, then you can, with the right brush, and we'll talk about that with the scrubs and everything, but you can do a one pass window cleaning, and you're 10 seconds a window, no different but with the traditional, you got to go to two tools, unless you go to a single tool, which we're working on, single pass tool. And then, but if you would have to do it twice, because it's annually, let's say, isn't it? And then there are jobs you get to and you go, I've almost got to mop it twice, and then I got to squeegee it, and then I got to mop it again, and I got to get a blade out, and then I got to, you know, all that maths of how you get that window clean. Well, that's the same with us, but what we'll do, we'll go from an all bristle brush to some guys in some parts of the world might go to the beast, you know, the boar's hair, or you go to ultralight with the scrubs or radial rocker with the scrubs, and then you go from your non-scratch pad, which is the microfiber is your mildest, but I only have microfiber in there so you can put detergent on so you can get hydrocarbons. If you're working next to a factory or a highway, or somebody's got a barbecue in the front of that window, you know, then you need the microfiber to get the detergent on to break down the hydrocarbons so that you can then have a clean rinse. But short of that, your non-scratch pads are your standard go-to, then carborundum. Then you get into the metals, you know, if you need to scrape fly poo, bee poo, artillery fungus, paint overspray, turtle sport, whatever that one we had the other day was, turtle bug, stink bug, you know, poop, you know, all of that is in the range of the scrape with the metals, you know, and then you've got the bee poos and the waxy ones, which are your bee poo type takeoff, you know, the Tomcat, the green rubber, and the Magic Eraser are grabbing type scrubs. So you want, in order to get the ideal place, is 2 passes over every piece of glass. One which is part of the wet up and get the basic stuff off the glass, and the second one is the serious part of the agitation as well, or the final part of the agitation. And if 2 doesn't work, then you would change scrub so that 2 does work. Don't do 4, 6, 8, 10. And you guys would know that with a standard brush. You're waiting until the water softens it. Actually, you're just scrubbing it until the water softens it before it comes off. Yeah, look at that. Good one, Ben. So these are all the different scrubs that we supply, each one for a different purpose. All of them aim to getting you from 4 scratching actions to 3, 2, and possibly 1. Yeah. Do you reckon that answered that?
Yep.
I don't know who you're talking. I didn't know who you're talking. You're talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't know if you were talking to Sean when he asked that question.
No, I'm asking you as if you're Sean.
Yes, it does answer it. My apologies, Perry.
Well, because in the same time, like in my mind, what I'm doing is no, but now we've got Tomcat Sean. Like Peter's the guy who's running Peter's truck is Tom. Tom found the Tomcat material, tested it. It definitely works better on bee poo. So we made the scrub and we called it the Tomcat scrub after Tom.
and another reason.
And another reason. So you know, from my side is, you know, helping, you know, imagining that Ben and Noah are typically the guys who are just getting our brushes, you know, and then identifying and say, well, that's a lot to learn. It's a lot to understand. You actually don't need to know all of this. You just need to know that there's a technique that comes with the brush and you use that technique. And there's a flow rate that comes with the brush and you use that flow rate. That's all. And all of our radial rocker range, you know, 14-inch and 18-inch, all use the same flow rate. So you can carry a second one on your belt and reload. All the light, ultralight range come standard with a flow rate, but they have a second set of jets which you can use the lower flow rate. They come with our standard. No, they come with a low flow rate, and they come with our standard jets for the higher flow rate. So you can have all of our range with the half gallon a minute flow rate if you want, you know. But if you want to use less water for whatever reason, it doesn't make sense to me. But if you do, then you can use our. They come with a lower flow rate.
It might not be water fed as such, but it's probably a scenario which is equivalent. Can you come back to me and I'll show you something?
Yep.
Might be able to do it. Okay, trad. Pencil jets versus what do you call them? High flow stuff. And
Rinse
I hope
bars.
I can do it. So you see a lot of it, and it's trying to get, I don't know, but why is there so many like this?
What are we talking about?
The comparison of how would you say, pencil jets versus rinse bars as such, and setting it up. Whereas that took 30 or 40 swipes, where you could just come up with one. And Ben, this is for you. This is for you. Come
See that?
Who's this for?
This is for Ben.
So you come down, then that way a little bit, then up, and then you can finish straight down.
Now Noah does that technique. He comes across the bottom, but you pulled off the and went that out the other day.
Yeah, but it's the same. The pencil jets just doing these slow little minimalistic movements.
I see what you're saying. It was a
as
pencil
opposed to a straight
got it. Okay, so let's go over that again. We'll make sure it's clear. So when
I won't do the whole window.
Yeah, when Pete was running the fanning movement, but only fanning like an inch at a time, see that? Like he's that's what pencil jets is like, fanning like that. Yeah. But when you use the radial, not only was he pointing out the technique, but when you use the radial, you're using the whole width of the brush for your agitation and your rinse. So if you've got a 14-inch squeegee, you're cleaning 14 inches at a time. If you've got a 14-inch brush, you're cleaning 14 inches at a time.
Darren Amsborough would be a good one to explain that.
Yeah, but
you don't see the.
But he still has that reach around stuff, I mean, Darren doesn't have efficiency.
No, in the competition ones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he doesn't have water fed efficiency down pat. No, I can't spin him on it.
No, that's all right.
But to be fair, the UK windows they clean once a week, so they actually clean the windows once a week. So there's nothing to come off except whatever landed on the window in most cases, unless they're in a flight path of seagulls or something. Okay. Alrighty. So, how's our time? Oh, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
We are done. Noah, over and
Yes,
Ben,
sir.
over to you guys for questions.
Do we have any questions? Let's say someone's trying to get into Reach It and invest in future cleaning tools. What would be the best tool they can first purchase to understand it?
It depends on their affordability and whether they think like a business person. I mean, the best and the most popular is
Rocker.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That beautiful box.
It's a beautiful box. But if you look here, we have a brush guide, so Rocker is for what you can't get off with any other brush. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at Ultralight down there, Ultralight is in the same league. So Ultralight might be half the price of a Rocker.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're old, go Ultralight. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you want to persuade your boss, go Ultralight. Like, it doesn't matter which one they get. They'll end up with the range as they understand that each brush has got a function and a target market. But, if you want to talk about the $450 an hour brush, that's Rocker. It cracks it out, no doubt. I mean, Sean the other day said $1,000. I've had loads of guys who say $1,000 an hour they've been able to make on external glass with the Rocker. Compared, and that's on jobs they've been doing 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row, not jobs they just quoted. I'm going to make $1,000. Like, what I mean?
Well, that was like me the other day. I do this $1,000 job, this $1,500 job. Normally do it with one of these guys. Takes me 4 hours, 5 hours to do the whole house. Did it with the Rocker, and it took me an hour and a half.
Yeah,
maybe even less than that.
Yeah. So
and that's with setup.
There you go. So your $100 an hour that you would normally charge, think about how you don't charge at $100 an hour, but you think about, I want to make $100 an hour, just became $250.
Yeah.
So really what you're saying is the brush pays for itself in about an hour.
Definitely.
Of using it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It pays for itself immediately. So it's
So
an investment, but you get your money back pretty quick.
It's not how much does the brush cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's how much is it costing you to not have the brush.
I agree.
Yeah. And
technique comes with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
After a while, technique comes.
And that's where we see you guys, being able to, take some of these points and turn them into 15 second, 10 seconds, little points. Look at how the corners work. Look at how we go across the top. Look at how, a circle in a corner makes a lot more sense than a square in a corner, because a square in a corner, you jam everything into the corner. A circle in the corner, you roll everything out of the corner. You know what I mean?
I do that.
Yeah. There you go. A square brush in a square corner does not make sense. There you go. You can't. All you can do is push it into it, and then take the brush off the glass and try and rinse things out of it. But that's the technique, jiggy through the corner. Those radial bristles are designed to pick up everything and flick it down, and then all the water runs across the top of the brush and runs down the
I got a question.
All of that off with it. In that same action. This is like agitate on the upstroke, rinse on the downstroke. That's it. Now, of course, let's go across the top and pay attention to the top, pay attention to the corners. Having done that, the rest of the window is just rapid. Go for it.
So let's say, like here in Idaho, we have BPOO, but it's a lot of just dirt on the window, like from windstorms and, Yep. So what would you say is a good
G-force if you're in a dusty area, because G-force you can turn upside down, have the jets on the bottom, get all that off in one stroke, and then you go back up. Still a two-step. You still got to then you go back up and have the jets on the top, but you just turn the pole 180 degrees. You know what I mean? You don't need an out of round pole to stop clamps slipping.
What about pad?
What's
scrub? A good pad? Yeah, scrub.
Which scrub? Well, it wouldn't
like
matter.
What's a good typical scrub?
The orange non-scratch, because you're not taking anything off. You're just using it. So it would either be that one or ultralight. Depending on. Like if somebody didn't want to spend a lot of money, ultralight's like $179 or something with scrubs, or 189. Like not much money, just not much money, and incredible life-changing experience. Like it's just nothing like a broom style brush. I get a bit passionate. Noah, you got any more questions for us?
So let's say it's the same situation, that there's a ton of dust on the window. A huge windstorm just came through the night before, but the sills are really dirty and the frames are really dirty.
You then you would use light.
Beast light or
if you've got to clean frames, you have to use a nylon bristle brush. Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, the scrub pads. It depends on what's on the frames, and depends how hard you push, and depends what's whatever. But if you want to be safe with the frames and not mark them or scratch them, then an all bristle brush like the Beast or light or Beast light.
Barry, what's your favorite brush?
Ultralight.
Ultralight? I've noticed that you like the ultralight a lot.
It's the latest. It's the most recent brush. It's the total sum of everything we've ever learned. Now, if you said what's my favorite brush for cleaning, impossible to clean windows, it's got to be Rocker, because Rocker can clean anything off. No, you don't have to flip it over and do and then flip it over and like that. That's like a traditional guy having to pull his blade out and then go back and mop and then go back and squeegee, right? Rocker is an amazing brush. But if you just said what's my favorite brush, ultralight 18-inch for high work, because it gives you the stability if you're going up 4 and 5, 6 stories, gives you the lateral stability, less pass.
And you can lock it.
Yeah,
and then
you can lock it.
And you can lock it. We've got radial pivot lock. There's a pivot lock in the spare area, so if you don't want it swiveling, you can use it as a straight pull type brush. And then you've got the French paintbrushes, which Pete showed before, which is a 6-inch ultralight and an 8-inch ultralight. So we basically have a 6-inch, 8-inch, 14-inch, and 18-inch ultralight. Incredible brush. And the reason it's incredible is it's got dual, I'll get all geeky, but it's basically a hybrid. If you think about a Prius as a hybrid gas and electric car, right? Ultralight and rocker are hybrid bristle and scrub. So you have one agitation, at 45 degrees or 35 degrees to the glass, and the other agitation is parallel to the glass. The scrub is running parallel to the glass, like a blade does, So you get these two agitations. No, Sean. The ultralight, because the scrubbies are so narrow, they're only like less than an inch wide. So there's just limitations what we can do. We can only cut materials for ultralight. We can't stitch, like when we make the steel and the cheese grater, we have to stitch it all onto a scrub. We can't do that for ultralight. Yes, cannot be done. Yeah. So this is a little bit different for a Certus Six Sigma, but hopefully we can think about, from a pressure washing side, how to do decks better, faster, how to do pathways and driveways better, faster. You know what I mean? And how to clean houses better, faster with somebody who's got, I designed this for this, like the guy with the J tip. Maybe we can get him on, and he's selling, crazy numbers of those, it seems, and so, well, what's your thinking? And I want to get Tim, the guy who invented the proportioner, and say, what's your
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because if you can harness the thinking of the manufacturer, what's he trying to do when he's designing this tool? You might find that you can change your technique a little bit and get more efficiency. Yep.
Actually, no.
Doesn't matter which broom brush you get. You can't use any other technique. You have to use the Tucker technique, which is the technique which Tucker came out. He also brought it out with a technique. His brushes. There's the Tucker technique. Yeah. So every tool has a technique. It's just teaching people that it's our technique. It's not their technique. Yeah. You can't roll a square brush through a corner and agitate and rinse and get spider webs out and have them run down the frame without having to chase them down the frame. So
That's
Where are
it.
you,
You can't.
I'm
Yeah,
still
go
here. I was going to say to Noah, last couple of years doing a couple of builders cleans, only for high-end builders, my favourite brush was the 6-inch ultralight with a Magic Eraser pad on it. Because realistically, when you think of a builder's clean, you want to push the dust off, have a look what's underneath the dust, and assess the window that way. If it had a bit of silicon, you could rub the silicon off with the Magic Eraser. If it had some paint, you'd use the scraper, and then it's a final rinse. Window's done. You don't need a huge, big brush getting in the way all the time. It was a little thing. It was magic.
I think you guys call
makes sense.
what we call builders cleans. You guys call construction clean.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And
Just like
the
aluminum.
other thing that's interesting is that some people want to buy the biggest brush. Everybody wants the biggest everything. But the reality is when you're looking at scrubs and you look at the square, you look at the Ultra, Power Pad and the Zero, whatever. And they always give you the biggest scrub, right? But the pounds per square inch is pounds of pressure from your biceps, triceps, shoulders, right? Core, pounds per square inch. So you give me a 9x6 pad, right? That 9 times 6 is what? How many?
45.
No, that's 9 times 5.
10 times 5.
54.
No. Same
That's
thing.
54 square inches your pressure has been applied to. Now, Pete, how many square inches on that little brush you just pulled out then?
Maybe 3.
Right? 3. So they're giving you 54 square inches of spread pressure, right? Same pressure applied across 54 square inches, same pressure applied across 3 square inches. And you're wanting to agitate, right? That's the point. So which one is going to agitate better? Not a floor mop converted into a window cleaning tool. Right? 9x6 is a floor mop, you know?
That's why
So-
I got them. I got those imported, which were 9x4s.
Yeah.
They were much better.
Yeah, pounds per square inch is so critical. That's why the ultralight has more pounds per square inch than any other brush, more than Radial Rocker, right? Because the scrubbies, right, are less area. So your same pressure is going to have more push in the Z. Like if you've got X, Y, if you remember your maths and you got a graph, X and Y, but in the third dimension is Z. What makes something three-dimensional is the Z axis. So when we push the brush against the glass, it's the Z axis that we're applying pressure into. So that's your pressure, and so we talk about that, you know, blah blah blah. We've gone over time, haven't we, Ben?
Harry, what's
shut this
one
guy up.
thing about what you're trying to do with the window cleaning industry that you want the community to understand?
The
sole principle.
There's money in glass if you clean it fast.
Yeah, it's your motto. That's the catchphrase for sure.
The focus is
And I,
you can clean windows with newspaper and spray. In fact, we had a guy on the other day who started window cleaning. Who was that? That was
Brian.
right? Brian Hoyt.
Poor
Started
man.
with newspaper, and he'd go into the McDonald's toilets and steal their tissues.
Yep.
Starbucks. So he had more paper to clean with.
He was literally poor.
Yeah, he was genuinely poor. When we clean windows, we think we're clever. When we clean windows as a professional, our job is to clean it fast, not to clean it. Anybody can clean a window. Anything can clean a window. A tucker brush can clean a window. The question is, can it clean it fast so that I make more money? And that's what blew me apart, because I was a window cleaner and I was charging out at $60 an hour, $70, $80, you know, like that. Like that was what I was getting, you know. And I'm looking at these pressure washer posts, and the pressure washer's getting 250, 300, 400, and the roof cleaner's getting 600 and 500. And I'm going, what the hell? What's wrong with the window cleaning industry? We're the poor people of the industry. And then I said that I looked at it and said the tools, nobody has touched the tools for 50 or 60 years. Nothing changed. Nothing. And then that's what got me all excited, right? And that's been our journey for the last 10 years. It's changed the tools so that you can make the same money as the other guys in the exterior services industries. Carpet cleaners, $300 an hour. Electricians, $300 an hour. Landscapers, $300 an hour. Everybody's $300 an hour. So are we if you use Reach It. Not on every job. Like, I'm not saying every job, and I'm not saying every landscaping job, and I'm not saying every electrician job. There's got to be jobs where you can get the real money, you know? What was Sean's motto?
Charge per job.
Charge per job and fast. Yeah. That's what's really important as you transition across and you realize how much faster you can charge, that you have to.
Don't charge less because you can clean it fast. Don't do that.
No. Don't let your previous financial self-esteem determine your income.
It's funny because my client
educated, you earn more. Educate yourself on Reach It, educate yourself on Radial, educate yourself on fluid dynamics, educate yourself on everything you can about the industry, and then earn more because you are educated.
It's funny because my client even said, wow, you got that done really fast. But she knew how long it typically takes us.
But if you go, just my brush cost me $350.
Yeah.
Like, you know, those brushes you showed me, the 10-inch one that you showed me in the video, like we can make those for $5, $4. Yeah, this is a $5 brush out of the factory.
And they charge it probably $250, $300.
Only since we came along,
Yeah.
right? Nobody before we came along and we made a brush and then we make it by
Rinse
hand.
bar is plastic and they charge, I think, $50 for it.
Yeah.
Some places. It's just
if they have to,
plastic.
anything you have to replace, you've got on. If it's got a chance of breaking, you've really got to charge more. You got to charge for 2 or 3 of them because you got to replace them in the same price.
Yep.
You know? So, but the brushes themselves were, you know, if you go to the UK, the brushes are like $40, you know, the same brush, right? There were guys in the States who were importing the brushes back in those days, used to bring the brushes in from the UK because the American resellers were selling them for 3 times the price of the Brits, the same brush. Yeah, but we upped the game on the price because we gave the value. Well, we went through a journey where it was a journey of value, you know, because things went wrong. But when we upped the price, everybody else had this ability to go, yeah, we got that too, and it's cheaper, you know. But they could pick up another $100 a brush. Yeah, it's interesting.
Anything that you want to say, Peter? We're going to close out.
About the sort of the change, like you said, over the last 10 years development, there's also been a lot of little bits behind the scenes about ergonomics too.
Yes. Yeah.
The way the brushes have enabled us to do the job feeling better. You know, doing a school, say 5 years ago, with your rocker or whatever, but now to be able to do the same school with the ultralight, at the end of the day, your body thinks you've still got about an hour or two to go.
Yeah.
It just made you feel so much better.
Yeah. But we focus because we're always conscious of safety. Like we used to speak all over the place in the IWCA and everything on safety before people made safety their industry. You know, so we were the people who got invited to speak about water-fed pole safety. You know, window cleaning safety.
Oh, so Sean brings up a good point: is how you store your brushes. So for me, I store them on the wall of my van and then turn them upside down so that the bristles are pointing up, so that it's not squashing the bristles.
No memory.
Yeah, and you've also got that PET clear box with press studs. You know, so if you know you're only using it occasionally, put it back in the box it came in, and that'll also stop it from being trashed. You know.
Yeah.
But even if it gets trashed and you destroy it, you can replace. You don't buy another brush. You just replace the bit that got damaged. You know, you can replace
bristles.
the brushes. Replace the end caps. You know. So what I do, I'm going to show you Pete's. This is Pete's backyard, but you know, I go and see Pete in his backyard, and we work on that window which you saw there, and we talk all this stuff through as we're developing products. So
he also said that one of Peter's dogs likes you.
Yes, there's no talk about that. All right, let's wind it up. It's a geeky session, but we've slid it in. And then who are we talking to tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Louis Riez, right?
Yeah, Louis.
Friday.
Yeah.
Louis. So we're back into interviewing window cleaners and pressure washing guys, right? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So but if anybody knows anybody in their industry that is as geeky as I am about my industry, you know, please say, can you try and interview this guy? It doesn't matter who it is.
Topic?
We
don't have a topic yet. Good reminder, Sean.
Louis got it's another life story, you know, the life of a window cleaner. And he's got, I don't know, 8 kids or something, you know.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And he's a musician.
Is it a Mormon family?
I don't know. Yeah, let's ask him. I don't know.
Boy,
Definitely. I've met, you know, I haven't met all his kids because he keeps making them, you know, but, you know, I've met 6 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they all close in age?
Then he had an accident or an illness or something like really serious. And so his wife helped, you know, so it's going to be a great story, you know, and he's a delightful guy. You'll love him. Yeah. There's always a gem somewhere, you know, and even if even if you don't get the gem today, you'll always remember the story. And then when your time comes for that, the gem will be there. Yeah. All right, let's close it out, Benny.
All right, Peter. Thanks
thank
again.
you very much. I know.
No
So far, you know, where you fit in so far for me is very helpful because I get to talk I've got somebody I can see that I'm talking to, and I feel that it allows me to be more genuine in the way I talk and answer because I'm actually trying to help someone I can see, so I know it's not as, we're going to get you involved interviewing people soon. Yeah. But this has been, you're really helpful.
We can have Peter interview some people too.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
We'll just have to work on your technique a little bit.
Whose technique? Who are you talking to?
Get that bloody brush on the glass.
And don't climb ladders with poles.
Yeah, well, the water.
But the thing about Ben and Noah is it's a genuine journey from what existed into Reach It. The genuine learnings, the genuine mistakes, the genuine comparisons, it's all real, So when people follow you and go, I'm going to get one of those, there's no bullshit in it. It's just your real, you made this mistake, you had spots, you had this, Ben had off glass rinse, it's great. It's exactly what's going to help everybody, more than me talking on a video, like my Reach It workshop or whatever.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Okay. If anyone wants to know more about remotes and stuff and speed controllers, and let me know.
That's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Great. Talk soon. Thanks, Pete.
Okay, we're gonna boot him off. All right, guys. Thank you for joining today's show. Tune in tomorrow live at 7:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you guys have a topic, he's
first
got it.
First time.
This one.
First time.
Updated software.
Is that with your Mac? Ooh, look, confetti.
It's the iPad. It's iPad holding me over till I get the Mac.
Look at that. Spray some confetti on me.
All three.
Yeah.
Ben's partying like he made $1,500 in an hour and a half.
This is like a really crappy podcast I'm listening to.
All right, guys.
All
right. We will see you tomorrow, 7:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Have a great night. Epic. That's right.
Hello there, Ben here with Epic Exterior Services, president and co-founder of Service Six Sigma. We want to thank you for joining our live stream today. We appreciate any feedback is welcome. Please comment on our future posts and live streams. We always love to see the engagement in our live streams. Always ask questions, always post your comments, and reshare this video with your friends, family, Facebook, social media. Share it everywhere as much as possible. We would highly appreciate it. And if you know of a guest that would be great for our live stream, please pass them our way. You can visit our website at service6sigma.com, and there is a guest contact form that way, and we will interview that guest to make sure they are a good fit for our live stream. Again, thanks again for joining our live stream at 7:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we will see you next time.